There's an AI tool making waves right now that doesn't just chat with you about your problems. It actually fixes them while you sleep. I'm talking about OpenClaw, and it's fundamentally different from every other AI assistant you've used. Let me show you why this matters and how to set it up properly. Most AI tools sit there waiting for your next prompt like an overpaid intern. OpenClaw runs continuously in the background, managing your calendar, monitoring your investments, cleaning up your inbox, and executing scripts without you lifting a finger. It's not vaporware or some hyped up demo. This thing is real, it's open source, and people are going absolutely nuts over it. The project exploded to over 65,000 GitHub stars in weeks. Mac Minis sold out everywhere because developers realized they could run their own personal AI assistant on hardware that costs less than a month of ChatGPT subscriptions. But here's where things get interesting. The tool was originally called Claudebot. Then Anthropic decided that name was a little too close to their precious Claude brand and threatened legal action, so it became Maltbot. That lasted maybe 12 hours before everyone agreed the name was terrible. Now it's officially OpenClaw, complete with a lobster mascot, and honestly, that's way better anyway. What makes this tool special isn't the name Drama. It's what the creator, Peter Steinberger, built into it. This guy founded a successful developer tools company, retired, then apparently got bored and decided to gift the world something actually useful. His GitHub profile looks like the activity chart of someone who forgot sleep was a biological requirement. The man built OpenClaw in TypeScript, made it wrap both Claude and GPT models, and released everything for free. Think about what that means for a second. You're not paying monthly fees to some startup. You're running this on your own hardware. A Raspberry Pi works. An old laptop in your closet works. A virtual private server that costs $5 a month works. You control everything. The data stays yours, and the AI never stops working. It manages your calendar by actually understanding context. It doesn't just move meetings around randomly. It reads your emails without you asking, figures out what needs responses, and can draft replies that don't sound like a robot wrote them. You can have it monitor stocks and ping you on Telegram when something significant happens. No more obsessively checking portfolios every hour. But the real power is in the automation you can build through simple conversation. You chat with it like a normal person, and it sets up background processes that keep running. Need to track competitor pricing? Done. Want to automatically generate interview questions when you're hiring? Handled. Trying to deploy code at 3 in the morning without thinking too hard? Probably not recommended, but OpenClaw will do it. The setup process is surprisingly straightforward, but there are specific steps you need to follow to avoid headaches later. Skip one piece and you'll spend an hour troubleshooting why nothing works. Do it right the first time, and you'll have your personal AI assistant running in under 20 minutes. Installation starts with a single terminal command that works on basically any system. Linux is ideal, but Mac and Windows work fine. Once installed, you get access to the OpenClaw command line interface. That's your entry point into everything. First major step is onboarding. The system will ask you to review security documentation because, let's be honest, you're giving an AI access to potentially sensitive stuff. You can skip this if you like living dangerously, but at least skim it. Understanding what you're allowing matters more than you think. Then, you need to connect an AI model provider. OpenClaw supports multiple backends. You can use Anthropic's Claude, OpenAI's GPT, or even free open source models if you want to avoid API costs entirely. Each has trade-offs. Paid models are more capable. Free models cost nothing, but might struggle with complex tasks. Next comes the messenger integration, and this is where OpenClaw transforms from a terminal tool into something that lives in your pocket. You can use Telegram, Slack, WhatsApp, Discord, or several others. Telegram is probably the easiest path forward. Setting up Telegram requires a quick conversation with something called BotFather. It's Telegram's official bot for creating other bots. Sounds weird, works perfectly. BotFather walks you through naming your bot and generates an access token. That token is essentially a password. Keep it secure, feed it to OpenClaw during setup. After that, you configure skills and hooks. Skills are the actual capabilities your bot has. Hooks are the triggers that let it remember context between sessions and chain automations together. Both are crucial for making OpenClaw actually useful instead of just impressive. Once setup completes, you're dropped into a gateway dashboard. This is Mission Control. There's a basic chat interface where you can test things out, plus configuration panels that let you tweak essentially every aspect of how OpenClaw behaves. You could stop here and use the dashboard forever, but that defeats the entire purpose. The magic happens when you connect through Telegram. Open your Telegram app and find the bot you created earlier with BotFather. Send it any message. You'll immediately get a response saying access isn't configured, along with a pairing code. Copy that code, jump back to your terminal, and run the pairing command with that code. That's it. Authorization complete. Now send another message. This time, you get an actual response powered by whichever AI model you configured earlier. Anthropic's Claude, if you went that route, or GPT if you chose OpenAI or whatever open source model you decided on. The AI is live and responding directly in your Messenger app. But before you start building automations, spend a few minutes shaping its personality. You can literally just tell it how to behave. Want it formal and professional? Say that. Prefer something casual that talks like a friend? Describe it. You could even tell it to communicate exclusively in haiku if that's your thing. The bot adapts based on how you describe what you want. Now comes the interesting part. Building automations happens through conversation, not code. Say you want to monitor a stock. Just ask OpenClaw to track Microsoft and notify you about significant price movements. It understands what you mean, sets up the automation in the background, and starts monitoring immediately. When Microsoft drops 5%, you get a Telegram message. No apps to check, no manual refreshing, no anxiety scrolling through portfolio dashboards at midnight. That same conversational approach works for basically anything. Need to generate interview questions for a software engineering position you're hiring for? Tell OpenClaw what you need. It can pull from pre-built skills or custom ones you install from MoltHub, which is essentially a repository of community-created capabilities. Someone else probably already built exactly what you need. The skill system is surprisingly flexible. Built-in skills cover common tasks, calendar management, email processing, basic scripting, API interactions. But you can extend it infinitely by writing your own or grabbing pre-made ones from the community. Each skill is just a defined set of actions the AI can take when you ask for something specific. Hooks add another layer. They're triggers that fire during specific events in OpenClaw's lifecycle. When a task completes, when something fails, when certain conditions are met. Hooks let you chain automations together so one action automatically triggers the next. They also enable persistent memory. So OpenClaw remembers context from previous conversations and builds on what it already knows about your preferences and habits. What you end up with is an AI that genuinely learns your patterns over time. It's not just executing commands. It's understanding what you typically need and proactively handling things without being asked every single time. That's the difference between a chatbot and an actual assistant. The creator behind all this, Peter Steinberger, has one of those GitHub contribution graphs that looks like a solid green rectangle. The guy clearly lives and breathes code. He built this after retiring, which raises questions about what retirement even means anymore. But the fact that he's giving OpenClaw away free and open source instead of building another software as a service product is worth appreciating. Anthropic wasn't thrilled about the original Claudeboat name, which is fair. Trademark law exists for reasons. The brief stint as Maltbot was equally short-lived because, honestly, that name was terrible. OpenClaw, with its lobster mascot, at least has personality. The rebrand doesn't change functionality, just the logo and what you call it when recommending it to other developers. Everything runs locally or on infrastructure you control. Your conversations, your data, your automations, nothing gets sent to some company's servers for processing beyond the actual AI model API calls, and even those you can eliminate by using a fully local model if privacy is paramount. That architecture matters more than most people initially realize. You're not renting access to someone else's platform. You own the entire stack. OpenClaw represents a shift in how we think about AI assistants, not as cloud services we subscribe to, but as tools we deploy and control ourselves. The barrier to entry is lower than you'd expect, and the potential applications are limited only by what you can imagine automating. Once it's running, you'll wonder how you function without it. The entire setup takes maybe 20 minutes if you follow each step without skipping ahead. The result is an AI that actually works for you instead of waiting around for your next prompt. It's handling tasks right now while you're watching this, monitoring things, processing information, keeping systems running. That's the fundamental difference between OpenClaw and everything else cluttering up your browser tabs. Peter Steinberger built something legitimately useful and gave it away for free. No subscriptions, no premium tiers, no artificial limitations designed to upsell you later. Just a solid tool that does what it promises. You run it on hardware you control. Your data stays yours. And the community keeps building new capabilities for it every day. If you've been waiting for AI to become actually practical instead of just impressive in demos, this is it. Install it, configure it, let it run for a week, and see what happens. You'll either love having a tireless assistant handling background tasks, or you'll realize you prefer doing everything manually. But at least you'll know instead of wondering what you're missing.